guys, well, I was tagged by Off Kilter Homestead to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of my garden. And let me tell you, there has been some good, bad, and ugly. There's been lots of good, don't get me wrong, but I have obviously done a few things wrong. So, the good is here. This is my Back to Eden garden. It is doing amazing. The only bad thing about this is that the weeds are crazy. So weed control is definitely something that I need to do better at. But if you want to look at the good in this, everything is just doing great. I even have a pumpkin. And there's some squash plants, butternut squash plants that are right here. And they have grown all the way over to there. My squash and zucchini plants that are in here have been doing really well for the most part. I do have one of the bad on this is, let me see if I can find one. One doesn't have it. So these are good. This is all good. There's some beautiful squash. Leaves want to hide it in there. And I even have a cucumber plant in here that has been giving me some wonderful cucumbers. I'm just confused about these. I'm like totally confused. These, I believe, were my loofah plants. They clearly are not loofah because they're not growing and vining out. So, I don't know what those are. Could that be considered a bad? Wrong plant. Don't know what it is. My bad. So yeah, the bad about this is all the weeds. When you lose track of time, the weeds are hard to control. And that is something I am very bad at managing. So when I first planted these tomatoes, every single blossom had blossom end rot. They all had it. I did a little research, and if you get a fertilizer that has a high amount of the of the middle number, see it? Oh, it flew away. That would really help blossom end rot. And guess what? It did. These tomato plants have been doing amazing. So this was a bad turned around. Bad tomatoes with blossom end rot have now flourished and are doing amazing. This is the first time that I've been able to turn around blossom end rot and actually get fruits from the same plant. This is a bad. I have no idea what this was. I did a seed start on this and they were doing really well. So I transplanted them probably into too small of a space. But then I was like, I don't know what it is. So how am I supposed to eat it if I don't know what it is? That was my problem on this plant. This is great. It needs a little water, but it's doing great. Squash and zucchini in here. Okay, and I got some sweet potatoes from Miss Lippy at Gemini Homestead, and look at these sweet potato plants. They have just overgrown and taken over, and honest to God, I don't know if that's normal or not, but we'll roll with it. They just keep going, and I kind of feel like if you had a spot for them, that they would actually produce more. Like they would just keep going. and create vines and roots and more sweet potatoes. These cucumbers are doing great. I've come out here and they're dying of thirst, so I water them like crazy, and then they flourish again and start giving me more cucumbers. So even if it's on the brink of dying, just keep trying. They will give you some more cucumbers if you just water them. That is what I have learned from these cucumber plants, because they all were looking like this, and I watered it, and then they just gave me more. Look at these zucchini. Now, this is a bad part of it. The bad is that some of these have blossom end rot, and I have actually put some fertilizer on them, and it has helped the plants, obviously, because there's some in here. You are supposed to take them off, so just break them off and get rid of them. And obviously I missed it, so I didn't do it, but they break off actually pretty easy. Some of them do, at least. See, that one was already broken off. I had coming through here and broke some off. I just missed a couple. Blossom end rot, ugly. I thought that my watermelon plant had died. I had moved my watermelon plant because we had Hazel and Lucy in here, so that I didn't want them to eat it, and it just didn't look very well. But they're obviously doing all right, because I have a watermelon there and a little watermelon there. So they're still doing good, at least those. And it's funny because I planted them right there, and you can see they're going that way and that way. There was a zucchini or squash plant, I can't remember, here, and they've all kind of fallen off and died. So that is a bad, or an ugly, or both. Came right out. It's actually still in the ground. Oh, look, here's another watermelon. See it? So that's good. This is ugly. Isaiah did this little planter garden, and because it doesn't hold very much moisture, because it is just a wheelbarrow, if I miss a watering, it makes them suffer big time. So they have not done very well. And if I were to do a wheelbarrow garden again, I would put it probably over there in the shade, because the Texas heat is brutal on these plants. And this area right here in my garden gets a lot of sun. But the weeds are doing great. Most of those things that are tall, those are weeds, of course. I need to come out here and get rid of those. My corn was really good, then bad, then really good, and then bad. So, they produced me a handful of ears of corn, but I didn't pick them in time. And then the rest of the ears of corn were half developed. You can kind of see that there. They only half developed. And I really think that is my fault, because I planted the corn too close together. This year for me has been a huge learning experience for my garden. A lot of things I planted too close together because I just wanted so much stuff. I wanted to get the most out of my garden. But in the end, it actually resulted in a less of a harvest. For example, my carrots are doing fantastic, except I pulled one out and they're only a couple inches long. And it is because I planted them too close together. Or I didn't thin them out when they started to grow, because I was like, oh, I'm trying to get as much as I can. And no, it just makes it worse. So I am learning. I should have known this, because I told myself I got to thin them out. And then I was like, no, I don't want to. There's so many beautiful plants. And I screwed myself. So I mean, I guess I could still get baby carrots from them. So yeah, my garlic is ready to pick, and I just haven't picked them yet. So that's a good or bad, I don't know. They're completely dead, but they're ready to be picked. I picked one, and they're not as big as I was hoping they'd be. They're not as big as my dad's garlic, that's for sure. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the Texas heat. Maybe they had too much sun. I have no idea. Gardening for me right now is just a huge learning experiment. But it's a great learning experience because I get to still eat whatever grows in my garden. So I'm not going to stop gardening just because I screwed up some things. I'm going to keep learning, and I'm going to keep growing. And that's what I am most excited about, is learning every time I garden. My bell peppers are doing great. I was actually shocked because last year my bell peppers got blight, and they probably only got a foot tall, and I was very devastated. But this year they're doing so much better. This one is almost ready to pick. I don't want to pick it yet. It's like, oh, there's a bug. Probably only 20, no, probably more than that, 40% ready. Those dark spots really need to be bright red when I pick them. And I've been having a hard time getting out to the garden to check, actually. So it's been really frustrating. But the good thing is that even though I had to throw like 5 or 6 of the bell peppers away because of bugs eating them, there's so much more regrowth on my bell pepper plants. I thought that once those ones were done, they'd be done, but I was completely wrong. And look, there's still baby plants coming. I'm amazed. I'm so amazed by my bell peppers. And one thing that I did do wrong on this is that I didn't have a support around the bell peppers because they're so heavy. I kept saying I was going to do it, and I tried to do it with these bamboo plants, but it just didn't work. I really need something that's sturdier and taller, like the tomato wires. So next year I'm totally going to invest in more of those because we love bell peppers in this house. And I think that would really help to keep them up straight and off the ground. See, so many more. I need to come through and tear those big weeds down. I think it's really going to take a weed eater to do it, though. My tomatoes are so great. They actually are taller than I ever thought they would be. I put a net over them to keep the birds out. The plant grew through the netting. And I tried to take it off after I realized it, and it was too late. So I just let it go. I've really planted my tomatoes too close together, but they're still doing really good. I had one tomato plant in the center, and I'm pretty sure it has died because I'm not getting any of those tomatoes. It's actually the purple tomato, and it only got 2 of those. This year has been an amazing roller coaster ride for my garden, but I think for most of us that's every year because you have things that do well one year and not well the next. And one thing that you're absolutely wonderful at growing and then not, and then it fails. And gardening is just such a roller coaster ride. There's been some times when I've just been like so busy that I know my garden is a mess, and I'm just like, I don't even want to go out there. But I do it anyways because I absolutely, I love coming out and seeing my garden. It's like a peaceful place for me. And it's not even close to what I want it to be, but every year I'm going to improve on it. So, and every year it's just going to get better and better and better and better. So anyways, thanks so much for coming along as I showed you the good, bad, and ugly of my garden. I do have to call out a couple other channels. I think I'm going to call out Babbitt's Farm, my nephew up in Western New York. He just recently started a YouTube channel, and yeah, go help him and support him. I'd appreciate it. And my other channel is going to be Simply Jan Homestead. Jan, show your garden off. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything that's going on in your garden. Tell us how it's going. Both of these channels, please. So anyways, thanks again for watching, and we will catch you all later.